The laundry alternative Ninja spin dryer versus Panda stainless steel spin dryers. Many people ask me to make a video comparing both models. Both are excellent spin dryers, they're very good. And today I decided to make this video, okay? I'm preparing here the test load. I'm just wetting them to leave them wet to test both spin dryers, okay? Quick disclaimer, this is a test load, okay? Those are old clothes that I no longer wear. I just keep them to test machines. So before anybody says anything like happened on previous videos, oh, you're washing a rag with towels. Yes, I know, I don't do that normally with my clothes. I always sort my clothes. But this load is a completely mixed load. They're just to add volume to any washing machine or spin dryer or dryer that I test. So I have whites mixed with blacks mixed with light colors, cleaning rags with shirts and everything else, okay? So I'll be back in a while with the test. I'm just finishing here. I'll do a quick spin in a full-size washing machine, only to remove the excess water, only to avoid having to stop the video to empty the container that goes under the spout, especially because I'm gonna be using two spin dryers at the same time. So I'll remove the excess water before I put the clothes in the spin dryer for the final spin, okay? Just to make clear, both units you can, if you want, or if you don't have a washing machine that has a spin cycle, you can put the clothes dripping wet. There's no problem at all, okay? So back in a few seconds, it will be a snap, and let's start the test. Okay, before we start the test with clothes, let's see the features each spin dryer has and the details I noticed, okay? I think one of the most important details is the dimension and the suspension system, okay? So let's go. The laundry alternative Ninja. The unit is square and it has a built-in spout. So the space it takes, let's say you want to store the unit in a cramped closet when it's not in use. I like this a lot because it's only the spin dryer dimension. You don't have a spout coming here outside. Now the Panda is the unit dimensions, okay? It's round, the other one is square, but the dimension is very similar. They're almost the same dimension. So there's a less than a quarter of inch difference, where the laundry alternative is a little bit smaller than the Panda. However, the Panda has this spout that's like 2.5 inches. So if you're storing it in a closet, the spout can make it difficult to close the door, for example. While with the laundry alternative, it's the unit dimensions and anything else because the spout is built in the body. The drum. The drum capacity is also almost the same. The drum diameter and height are exactly the same for both models. However, the laundry alternative has a smaller groove on the bottom of the drum. If I put my finger here, it's less than a finger, much less than a finger. Now with the Panda, it has a very tall groove here in the middle of the drum. If I put my finger, it's taller than my finger. So Panda loses a little bit in capacity because of that thing on the bottom of the drum takes space. So that's maybe one underwear less that won't fit in the drum. It's still in the drum. The laundry alternative, let me see if I can spin the drum here, has a triple fold laser welding on the drum. I believe it's much safer than the Panda that has a simple welding, and some details on the welding are very ugly. Let me see if I can put my camera in the drum to show it. Maybe it won't show clearly, but the finish on this welding is not exactly perfect. It's actually the welding is a little bit sharp here. It can eventually damage clothes. While here we have a super smooth welding. And as it has a triple fold, it's much safer because the chance of exploding the drum is much lower because it's a triple fold. And here we have no fold at all. The metal sheet is just put together and welded. And here it's put together, then they fold it 3 times, and then they make a laser welding. Here on the top of the drum, there is a finishing that's very interesting. Actually, this top of the drum is part of the suspension system that I'll talk about it a little bit later. But this is extremely smooth because the metal sheet is curved and then welded. With Panda, the drum is much simpler. It's curved inwards and it's not welded. So here on the bottom of the lip, it's sharp. You can eventually cut your arms or even your hands when you're removing the clothes, or it can also cut clothes. Other detail, the plastic frame. On the Laundry Alternative, the plastic frame is very well trimmed. It feels very smooth. The hand glides on it. On Panda, even the noise is enough. It's not very well finished. It's actually kind of sharp. This plastic, I don't believe it will hurt anybody. The drum is sharper than the plastic part. It won't hurt, but it's some lack of attention that Panda had with this product, and the Laundry Alternative was careful enough to make it super smooth and nice. The lid. The Laundry Alternative has a lid that's not as appealing as the Panda. I like the Panda lid color better. However, the Panda has an acrylic lid. In acrylic, we all know it gets brittle and it cracks. If I drop anything here, this lid will break because it's not flexible at all. While the Laundry Alternative, I don't really like this color. I would like a darker blue like the Panda. But one thing I like a lot is this lid is flexible. So if eventually I drop something on the top of the spin dryer, the lid won't break because it bends, then it goes back to the original shape. I can even put all my weight on the lid, as you can see, and it didn't break. If I do the same thing on the Panda, the lid will definitely break because it's acrylic. So the Laundry Alternative lid is much better. Now, the latch mechanism and power. Both units are somewhat similar, but the Panda has a tricky thing that I didn't really like. To start the unit, you have to close the lid, press this button so the lid will lock, and then move the lever. The lever is huge. When you're done, you move the latch. Then, after the drum stops, you press the button and the lid will pop. With the Laundry Alternative, it's more automatic. You press the lid, you close the lid. If you just twist the lock, it won't lock because it has a child safety feature. So, with one finger, you lower the lid, and you twist the latch. The unit is locked and ready to be started. When you stop, let me even start it. The unit started, it's spinning. When it stops, when you want to stop it, you move the latch. It has two positions. First position will keep the door locked until the drum stops completely. That's a safety feature that's mandatory. After that, you finish moving the latch and you can open the lid. So, no additional buttons to press on the laundry alternative, less parts to break, less parts to be damaged. One detail I don't really like on any appliance is electronics. Electronics fail. That's why I like a lot the laundry alternative, because it has no electronics at all. The Panda has a timer. Let me start the unit. Press the button and latch. When you start, it beeps. Wow, this thing is noisy. After 5 minutes, it will stop the unit and beep. So it has an electronic component. Wow, this thing is noisy. Let me turn it off. So, as it has an electronic component, and I think it's completely unnecessary because the cycle in a spin dryer is so fast, it's so quick that you don't need to walk away and come back later. You don't need it to be automatic and shut off automatically. You can simply follow the drying time by the water dripping. When you see the water stopped dripping, it's done. Then you just turn off the unit. With this unit, it works for 5 minutes and then it shuts off automatically, but it doesn't break. So it won't activate the brakes. The drum will continue spinning and coasting down. And that's also not nice because the unit can start bouncing as the speed reduces. And the unit can simply start walking or even fall if you're not in front of the unit the moment it stops. With the laundry alternative, when you stop, let me even start it. You're here, the unit is running, it's working, it's done. Let it accelerate first. It's done, then you just, wow, it's so silent. You just come here, it will lock. After the drum stops, it will release the latch, then it's open. Simple as that. And no electronics to get damaged. With the Panda, okay, there is an electronic control board that can fail after 1 or 2 years, and then you have a high cost to fix that part because it's electronic, because it failed, and because of that tiny electronic board or that PCB, the whole unit won't work. While the laundry alternative is completely mechanical. I love that. It's simple. The best designs are the simplest designs. Suspension system. That's where the laundry alternative makes the huge difference. The laundry alternative has a very modern, and I won't say complex because it's actually very simple, suspension system. It's similar to a washing machine. So you have the suspension rods on the suspension tabs on the bottom that are rubber tabs, that are the shocks, okay? And you have a balance ring on the top of the drum and the bottom of the drum. This balance ring adds weight to the drum during the spin cycle, so it makes the unit more stable. The Panda is more of the same old school technology. It's just the tabs on the bottom, nothing else on the suspension system. As you can see, the laundry alternative drum is very flexible. The suspension system can move the drum freely, while With Panda, yes, the drum can move, but it's much harder to move it, and it doesn't move that much. So the suspension system has a limit on this unit, and it's more flexible on this other unit. In real life situation, you load a spin dryer. Of course, the load must always be balanced, no matter what. No matter what spin dryer you're using, the load must be balanced. And everybody knows it's an old trick. Always have at least 1/3 of the drum full of clothes. The more clothes you have, the more stable it is. Okay? Don't think the opposite. Oh, I will use only a little bit or put only one or two items because I don't want to overload my unit. No, with spin dryers, it's the opposite. If you never want to overload the unit, fill the drum up to the top. The more, the merrier. So, if you have a load that eventually, of course, you have one item, maybe a shirt that's a little bit thicker, it will be unbalanced. It's impossible to have a load that's 100% balanced because clothes are flexible and clothes are different. So, with the Panda, it's a little bit more difficult to find the right balance. You start the unit, then the unit starts shaking, you have to stop, rearrange the clothes in the drum, start again, maybe 2, 3, 4 times, until you have the perfect balance to start spinning. With the load alternative, the unit is more tolerant. So even if the load is not perfectly balanced, the suspension system will take care of that, and the chance of you having to stop and rearrange the clothes in the drum to then start spinning is much lower. The product finishing. The Panda is very nice in stainless steel, it looks stylish, while the laundry alternative Ninja is white, it's plain white. Uh, Two things that I didn't like about the finishing materials. The Ninja is made of plastic, so it is flexible, it's very resistant, so it won't break, okay? But if eventually you hit something, you won't you won't cause a dent on the cabinet. The Panda is stainless steel. However, it's a very thin, extremely thin stainless steel. If I press it, I don't know if the camera can show. If I press it with my finger, it goes. You can squeeze it basically, almost like a beer can. So it's a very thin stainless steel. Other thing I don't like, it's not fingerprint resistant. So you touch the unit and you leave smudges, as you can see. I don't know if the camera is catching, but every time you touch the unit, it will leave a fingerprint screaming, hey, look at me. There's a fingerprint here. I look dirty. I look old. The only alternative is white, so you can touch it as much as you want. It will never leave fingerprint marks. To clean, it's super easy. You just need to wipe it with a dry cloth, and it's always looking like new. The Panda is nice, is stylish. I like stainless steel a lot. However, they could have used a better stainless steel. The same with the drum. The drum here is extremely thin, while the laundry alternative has a very thick drum wall. So I believe this drum is much better than this. It feels like this spin dryer was made to be cheap. And this one, it feels sturdy. It feels like a quality product. Now something really important, that the laundry alternative Ninja wins with flying colors, and the Panda unfortunately doesn't win. It's a nice spin dryer. I wish it could be better, even being a competitor product. I would love to have a competitor that's really very similar to ours. But at this point, the Panda is, unfortunately, I have to say it's terrible. And the laundry alternative is wonderful. Noise. Many people have spin dryers and they don't want the neighbors to know that they're using a spin dryer. Sometimes the apartment complex doesn't allow washing machines and spin dryers, and somebody smuggled one to an apartment complex. And when you use a Panda, everybody knows you have a jet engine in your apartment. With the laundry alternative, it's much quieter. Let's see, let's compare. By the way, I'll run the test empty. Now the drum is completely empty. And later I'll run the same test with clothes, because there's a big difference no matter what brand of spin dryer. If you run them with no clothes in the drum, they will be much louder than they are when you have clothes in the drum. So just in case, I'll run the test twice. This is the first test with the empty drum. Let me start it. And then later I'll make another test with clothes in the drum. Press the button. Okay, now the laundry alternative Ninja with an empty drum. By the way, this bounce you could notice is the suspension system acting even if the drum is empty, okay? The unit is extremely stable. All spin dryers, when you start the cycle, is normal to have some vibration, some shaking on the very beginning, but then it stabilizes. So, the Panda has a high pitch noise when it's spinning, and the laundry alternative is much quieter. Now let's start the test with clothes. Okay, now I have both units loaded. The load is somewhat similar. At least I tried to put the same number of shirts, t-shirts, and very thin fabric pants, okay, in both units. Other thing that I notice with the laundry alternative, as the top of the drum is slant, you don't need to use a safety cover. The only thing you need to do is the last item, you fold it so it will be flat on the top, and the centrifugal force will push the clothes down, okay, not out of the drum. With the Panda, as the top of the drum is completely flat, you have to use the safety cover. So here you have another loss because you need space to put the safety cover, push it down until it's completely in the drum, and then you start the unit. I'll start both units at the same time. They're both spinning. They both spin exactly at the same RPMs, but the laundry alternative motor uses a little bit less electricity. But as you can hear, the Panda is much louder. That's really loud. The only noise you can hear is the Panda. Let me turn off the Panda for a while. This is the noise from the laundry alternative. Almost nothing. You can hear the water dripping. The water dripping is louder than the spin dryer itself. Now with the Panda, let me do the opposite. Now this one is off. It's still locked. Now it's unlocked. Oh, it's shaking. It's walking. Let's push it back because I don't want water dripping on the floor. With clothes, this unit is completely stopped. That's not a big difference. That's a gigantic difference. Metal vibration noise. It sounds like one of those vintage fire alarm bells. That is really, really, really loud. Let me start the other two. So, too much noise for nothing. 3200 RPMs, 3200 RPMs, same drum diameter, so the extraction will theoretically be the same. But this one is way louder. Here we can see the suspension system working. The load is not perfectly balanced, but the suspension system is correcting that. They're both spinning at the same speed. Other thing I noticed in a different test, I put exactly the same load in both units. So I had 6 bath towels in the laundry alternative Ninja and 6 bath towels, same brand, in the Panda spin dryer. What I could notice is a very, very small difference. The laundry alternative extracted a little bit more water. It was like 3 tablespoons of water, so they're very similar on the extraction, but the laundry alternative extracted 3 tablespoons more. That may sound like, okay, only 3 tablespoons, but when you're using a tumble dryer that uses electricity or uses gas, in my case it's gas, that uses gas to dry our clothes, those 3 tablespoons of water left in the clothes by the Panda will make a significant difference in the drying time. It will increase the drying time and consequently cost you more money. So if they're the same speed, the same drum diameter, they should extract exactly the same. But no, for some reason, I believe it's because of the square design, so it has an airflow, an improved airflow that can help pushing the water out. It's not only the centrifugal force, but also air helping to push the water out of the clothes that causes this difference, or also the drum design. The Panda turned off that electronic thing I said, and it's now coasting down. And that's what I don't like. I don't really feel safe having a spin dryer coasting down, because as the speed lowers and reach a certain point before it stops completely, the unit can be unstable and you may not be in front of the unit to hold it or to keep it in place. So just in case, I won't even wait until it goes down completely. It takes like 2 minutes to stop spinning. It's already off, but it's still spinning and coasting down. So I'll simply activate the brake. Now here, let's stop. When you move the latch, the motor stops, it applies the brake, and it stops really quick. It's not electronic. There's a mechanical, a centrifugal sensor. When the moment the drum is stopped spinning, the latch unlocks. That's the safety feature. So you cannot open the lid if the drum is still spinning. Then, after the drum stops, the lock will release. You just finish unlatching and it's done. Now here it's also done. Now you have to press the button and lift the lid. Now you have one more step here, that is removing the safety disc. And here, as you don't need a safety disc because the drum design is fantastically safe, you just open the lid and you can reach the clothes that are almost dry. That's amazing. Even if you have a full-size washing machine, either front load or top load. Here in my lab I have several washing machines, as you can see. Even if you have a washing machine that spins the clothes, you put the clothes in the spin dryer and you can definitely cut up to 80% of the drying time in a tumble dryer. Or even if you use a clothesline, if you air dry your clothes, it will cut the time a lot, and that will save you a lot of time. And if you use a tumble dryer, that will save you a lot of money because the clothes are almost dry. For example, this t-shirt, this load, if I just take the clothes out of the dryer, the washer, and put in the dryer, note that both spin dryers have a full load of a washing machine. I actually overloaded a little bit this washing machine. It's a Maytag Neptune. Let me even open it. I overloaded that drum because I wasn't going to wash those clothes. This is a simple test load. They were dry, I needed to make them wet. So I tossed everything in the drum, the washer was overloaded. Then I just spun. The washer ran the spin cycle normally. And this is the water that was removed from the clothes. So it's a lot of water. Here I have almost a gallon of water that was left by the washing machine. And evaporate a gallon of water in a tumble dryer means over 1 hour. So this load would take 1 hour 20 up to 1 hour 30 to dry in a tumble dryer. Now that I spun the load using a spin dryer, even the Panda not being as effective as the laundry alternative Ninja, but it came really close. Now, this load, I'll actually put them together. It will be a little bit overloaded for my dryer, but no problem. I'll put all together and the load will be completely dry in a little bit less than 15 minutes. So I can select the dryer using the automatic drying cycle, so it uses the moisture sensor. Okay, I can select it normally, as I would normally do with any load, but the dryer will detect the load is already dry, so it will automatically shut off much earlier, saving electricity, and if you have a gas dryer, saving gas. The laundry alternative Ninja, thumbs up for it. Actually, 5 thumbs up. And Panda, it's not bad, but it could be better. I will give you 4 thumbs up because of the noise. It's too noisy at all. It makes no sense to make a spin dryer that is that noisy. It sounds almost like a jet engine, and nobody wants to have a jet engine in your bathroom or in your kitchen or in your laundry room. So Ninja, much better because it's much quieter. The suspension system is much better. I like very much this unit. And the Panda, I like it. It was okay. It does a very good job. It is nice, but unfortunately, it's not perfect. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe here in the bottom and like it. Thank you very much, guys. See you next time.